What is up, Nuggets? It's your boy, Killer Pizza, here with a brand new video for all you rascals and rapscallions out there. Now, first and foremost, I gotta apologize for not putting a video out last week. I was on travel, and I actually had plans to release the They Live Scream Factory box set unboxing for that very weekend, or this one for that matter, but there's been troubles, I guess, getting the NECA figures shipped to Los Angeles before they can ship it out to everyone in the US, so I'm on hold for that as well. And also, I know you guys heard me mention my lighting was really bad. I work second shift, so it's kind of tough if you don't go to record just at the right time with bad lighting. Working a shift like that can't really make much happen. That's why some of my videos have been kind of dark. But I got a brand new lighting rig that I'm using right now. I think it looks pretty nice. So, yeah, let's go. It's a very snowy day here in Michigan, and I'm going to watch a movie. So I figured I'd just do a little review of that very movie. It's one I promised before Halloween that I didn't get to as well. Yeah, Mr. Consistency here, but it's actually one of my very favorite movies, Return of the Living Dead Part 2 from 1988. Now, Return of the Living Dead, the original, as you guys know, is one of my very favorite movies of any genre. Probably my number one horror movie of all time, maybe besides The Thing. But this is actually an unpopular movie to a lot of diehard Return of the Living Dead fans, as well as the third. Now, I love 1 through 3. I hate 4 through 6. I don't even count those in the franchise. But as for the big three, I think each one of them has a certain charm to it that can't be denied. Now, the first thing you need to know about this movie that makes it different is the first one was a horror with comedy, and I would say this second one is more of a comedy with horror, if that makes sense. It's almost like a horror for children in a way, which is when I first watched it as a kid. That's probably why I really like it. But anyways, let's just get to the plot. Pretty much we meet this kid Jesse on the cover here, and he lives in this like new suburb area. They still have like construction going on, building houses and everything. So there's very few kids around him in this brand new like suburb they're still building. A truck driver that's transferring the trioxin that has all the zombies and that gas that turns the dead to living gets dropped off the back of a military truck by mistake and goes down this riverfront into this swampy area by the cemetery. Now, one of the neighborhood kids, a bully, Billy, and his friend take Jesse down by the cemetery, and they end up opening the barrel, unreleasing the trioxin to the graveyard. All the zombies come to life, and then chaos ensues. They got to figure out a way to stop these zombies. That's pretty much it, in a nutshell. I could see why people don't like this movie. There's a lot of cast and crew that refused to get onto this project when it came out, because apparently the director, what was it, Ken Widerhorn? Apparently he wasn't like a horror fan or anything. He just seen it as a way to get his foot in the door. So, I mean, that works sometimes. I think if you're a good filmmaker, you're a good filmmaker. But, I mean, I think your heart's got to kind of be in horror to be at least consistent with making classics and everything. Makes me wonder what this movie could have been if we would have had, like, Dan O'Bannon on here and stuff like that. But, like I said, it's not all bad at all. A lot less gory, and it's kind of cheesy at times. But I love that. It's, like, cheesy enough, you know? It's not, like, trauma cheesy, which can be a little bit too much for me. But some of the things I do like, I really like the character Jesse. It's really hard, I feel, to have a kid as your lead and do so good like he did. He really plays it up, and he kind of, you know, is a little rambunctious, you know, going and trying to like figure all this shit out, because pretty much when he gets taken down to open this barrel, they end up, Billy and the other kid, the two bullies, end up locking him in like this like tomb with all the caskets and everything, right? And then they go back later to try to open up this tub, the barrel, and they think there's like army supplies in there or something, so they end up busting open this barrel, and all the smoke comes out, and then it gets right in Billy's face. They run home, then the acid rain begins, and all the zombies come to life, right? And I'm sorry if I'm bouncing around too much. I just don't like ranting too much on these reviews, so I figure I'll just give you the plot and then kind of bounce around to certain parts I liked. And speaking of a certain part I really liked, this is when James Karen and Tom Matthews make a return to the movie. They were Ed and Freddy in the original, like one of the funniest duos I've seen in film. They just crack me up. And they died at the end of part 1. But apparently the word goes that the Japanese release, they were so popular that they wanted to write them back in the second for a cash grab. So James Karen and Tom Matthews take it as completely new characters, and they are grave robbers. And so those two and Tom Matthews' girlfriend, what's her name in the movie? It was Brenda. She's actually the girl who played the lead in Killer Clowns from Outer Space, so I really like her work. But this dynamic is so funny. James Karen, he's really hamming it up in this movie. Is just a piece of shit grave robber. And Tom Matthews and his girlfriend are totally freaked out by this. Tom Matthews gets bribed by like this ring that's taken off a dead corpse's hand to give to his girlfriend. That's how James Karen is convincing him. But they end up finding Jesse in there. Jesse takes off, and when they come out of this tomb is when all the zombies start coming back to life. And this is the funniest shit ever. James Karen completely hams this up. He's just dropping to his knees and groveling and praying to God, "No, God, take me now. I deserve to die." And they keep picking him up and dragging him along and everything. And it's just funny. They jump in the van. They hightail it out of there. We get back to Jesse's house where his sister's there with this cable guy who showed up, this young cable guy. And he's telling these stories of what he's seen, and they don't believe it. And James Karen, Tom Matthews, and his girl come into the house. And they start freaking out, like, because they look like criminals, which they are, grave robbers, And it's a big fight's going on. The cable guy's kind of defending Lucy, the sister. And this is when, right here on the cover, actually, this is when James Karen pulls out this head that he stole. He was going to sell it on the black market. And the bag drops. And this is like a big part why people don't like it, because the head rolls and leans against the wall, and it's so corny, like talking to them and everything. And I think the cable guy comes up and stabs this zombie in the side of the head with a screwdriver. And like I said, this is why a lot of people don't like it. The head starts going, "Will somebody get this damn screwdriver out of my head?" It's like, there's a fine line in slapstick for me. I don't like stuff too hokey, like Trauma or like Microwave Massacre, stuff like that. It's a little much, but this is like the perfect level of cheese for me. Like, I remember loving this as a kid. And also I must mention, after mentioning that zombie, I mean, the effects on these zombies aren't the best, but they're really good. I'm comparing that to a lot of others I've seen, and the videography and music is good. It's all shot good. The colors are good. So the more I talk about it, I don't know what everybody's complaining about, but they end up running over to this doctor, this old guy who's a doctor that Jesse knows, like in the neighborhood. And this is a little fun scene where they're running through the new suburb houses and everything, like the houses that are on construction. Oh, and another funny part is when they're in the house, the zombies come to attack. And earlier, Jesse's sister was doing like this workout, like this 80s workout with the leg warmers and everything. And when the zombies are in there fighting, I think the cable guy, what was his name? I don't remember. I had some notes. I don't like using them. But like I said, I haven't seen this movie in about a year or so. But when they're fighting, somebody like falls onto the remote and the TV turns on, and it's the exercise video, and all the zombies just stop, and they're so fascinating. And then everyone's like, "What the fuck?" as they book it out of there and make it to the doctor's house. They jump in his car, smash through the garage, go flying out of there. I think they go to leave, but the military is holding everything off, so they're trapped in town. So they go to a hospital to try to find some help or something like that. And another funny scene where they're trying to get help and everything. This is because James Karen and Tom Matthews are sick again. And Jesse gets on the phone and he hears somebody that's at the top of the hospital, and he says, like, "Oh, there's help. He gets all excited and he's like, let's go upstairs. And then the doctor, he goes, "Wait a second." And he grabs the phone. He says, "Hey, who's the president right now?" And I think he says, like, the zombie replies back, because zombies can talk in this franchise. He says, Richard or Truman or something. Truman. And that's not the president in 1988. So the doctor just puts the phone down like, nah. And I love this doctor. He's like such like a throwback, like he's just drinking out of a flask the whole time and shit, and just like he's a different kind of comic relief in this. Like he's kind of like a sarcastic satire. I don't know. It's just really great. So this is a flaw towards the end that I don't like. That their plan they come up with is like, oh, actually they can't kill these zombies, and earlier they're driving around and all these zombies are in the vet eating all the animals. They don't show it or anything. But then the cable guy, the young kid, is like, fuck this. I've had enough of this. Like, that's the final straw. You ain't going to be eating dogs and cats. So he drives his car at the zombie, hits him, and he falls into like this sign or something, and it electrocutes him. He dies. So, whereas in the first one, there was no way to kill these zombies except completely burning them to dust. They find that if you electrocute them, you can shockwave the brains, short circuit them kind of in a way, and kill them. So they come up with this scheme to go meet up at like some electrical plant in town, and they collect all these like beef brains, like cow brains or something from the meat department. How convenient to have both these things in your town, right? And they steal like a little semi truck or something, and they're tossing all these brains out there to kind of like bait all the zombies into this factory or whatever. And they lock the gate, and they're setting up all the ripped lines. They have the power off, and they're waiting to open the gate to let them in. And they have all the broken electrical lines in the puddles because it was raining, storming, acid rain. Normal shit. And their plan's going well. But then this is where we see Jesse's bully, who got really sick from the gas, which he had seen earlier where he kills his parents and everything. But he comes back as a zombie, Billy does, and he's the one that's smart enough to climb the gate over, and he hits open on the gate, and they look back while they're setting this up, like, oh shit, all the zombies just come running in, and these are like running zombies too in this franchise. Scary ass shit. So they book it into this back of this semi-truck, close the door, and they're sitting ducks. Nothing more scary in a horror movie when you have isolation, when you're trapped. Claustrophobia is a real thing, right? And then they find out there's this little slot at the top, and Jesse's the only one small enough to climb out. So, reluctant to his sister that, she doesn't want him to get hurt, he goes out the top, and he goes up to try to turn on the electrical power and everything. And Billy chases him up there. The doc's up there. Billy takes him out, not for good or anything. And then we have a pretty cool little fight. It's kind of cool that it's two kids in this big fight scene at the end of a horror movie. And like I said, I probably like this movie a lot because of stuff like that, because I could relate to it. But at the same time, as an adult, it's kind of fun to look back and see the lead hero and the antagonist are both children. It's just kind of different, you know what I mean? And they have actually a pretty fun little fight scene where Jesse ends up killing him. I won't tell you how he does it. It's a pretty cool effect. He ends up getting the power on. All the zombies get electrified. We see a Michael Jackson Thriller zombie, who's actually played by the same actor who played Scuzz in the original. And, that's pretty much the movie. That's how it ends. You have the cable guy. Wish I remembered his name. I'm just saying the cable guy. I'm not talking Jim Carrey, but him and Lucy embrace at the end. A big hero's welcome and everything. And that's pretty much how we end the movie, a happy ending. And, that's pretty much Return of the Living Dead Part 2. I know I just tried to give a little bit of the plot and just give random details through it. I pretty much went through the movie again, just not every detail, because I could literally talk about this movie all day long. I was actually going to do this video talking about 1 through 3 as a whole, but I'm like, this deserves a review on my channel. This movie fucking kicks ass. And the only way I see this really being that bad in people's eyes is if you compare it to Return of the Living Dead Part 1. But with that being said, Return of the Living Dead Part 1 is one of the best horror movies ever made. I think that's kind of unfair to be judging it off, a better movie. That's like Scarface is one of the best movies. What if they made a sequel to that? You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to be looked at as good. But they took a little risk here, and I think it was well worth it. Not everyone's satisfied with the product, but as a fan of the series, I loved it. Like I said, I grew up on this. This is a good, fun time. And like I was saying, you could watch this with your kids. You could. I don't know what you let your kids watch, but I was watching much worse when I was a kid. This is a pretty kid-friendly. It looks pretty spooky on the back. But Yeah, tons of special features on here. I must mention Scream Factory. Amazing artwork. Look at that guy. That's like the new Tar Man. That's what came out of the barrel in the swamp by the cemetery. But yeah, look at that cover art. Scream Factory never does a bad job. Now, you don't have to just get a Scream Factory copy of this. You can get a much cheaper one on Amazon, I'm sure. This is probably on either Shudder or Amazon Prime if you want to check it out. I highly suggest you do, even if you're not a horror fan. This is a very easy movie to follow. It's very fun. It flows really well. Nothing worse than when a movie drags. But yeah, this is a great one. I'm going to have to give this. I don't know if I ever rated part 1, but part 1 and part 2 both getting 5 stars. There, I said it. So yeah, that's Return of the Living Dead part 2. Let me know if you guys have ever seen this in the comment section. And let me know of any other movies you'd like to see me do. Like I said, I'll probably do part 3 sometime soon. I'm not doing the last 3. They sucked. Other than that, it's a new year. I hope everyone's doing well. I know things are still bad in this world in a lot of ways, but hey, we just gotta hang in there. Help each other out, don't be assholes, Wear a mask, wash your hands. Just, let's watch out for each other out here, Stay warm. But other than that, blood, guts, gore, I will check you guys next time.